Howdy, friends. Glad you could join us. As I was a-riding one morning for pleasure, I spied a cowpuncher a-riding along. His hat was throwed back and his spurs was a-jingling. As he approached, he was singing this song. Whoopie-tie-yi-yo, get along, you little doggies. It's your misfortune and none of my own. Whoopie-tie-yi-yo, get along, you little doggies. You know that Wyoming will be your new home.
The songs that follow are taken from the series You Know That Wyoming Will Be Your New Home, presented by the Folk Arts Program of the Wyoming Council on the Arts. These selections represent some of the immigrant musical traditions found in our state. At the Wyoming State Fiddle Contest in Shoshone, you'll hear older and more modern styles of traditional fiddling. Jack Wallace of Laramie, the 1984 champion, plays St. Anne's Reel. Leroy Haygood of Casper plays Swing That Gal in the older hoedown style.
Well, I'm going to try to keep doing it for a while. And that's the doggone fiddle. And I've really worked over a load of fiddles. I guess I'd wished I'd have kept track, but I don't know, it must be 200 or 300 of the things. I've just had fiddles I've worked on fiddles all over the country, in Jackson and clear up in Canada.
Hispanics have been a part of Wyoming's population at least since the 1840s. Today's traditional musical performances are mixtures of Old Spanish, New Mexican Hispanic, and other Latin American influences. Manuel Lucero of Green River sings this music from the heart.
I just do it because I feel it, you know. I just really like to perform and stuff, and when I do is sing a song or something, you know, I just maybe like to give it a little bit of soul or something, you know, like they say, you know, just sing from the heart and stuff, you know. I could actually come to the point where, I'm actually going to come into tears and stuff just to give it that emotional feeling that the song deserves in order to express itself. You know, if there's a sad song, for example, you know, maybe a ballad or something, Padre querido, quiero cantarte esos versos que me arden el pecho y me hacen sufrir. Something like that, you know, that it just gets what I felt after my father, you know, passed away. I kind of made a little ballad, you know, for him and stuff, and it was just me expressing, you know, my emotions towards him.
One of the ballads that Manuel sings is Encantadores Ojos, Enchanting Eyes. A lover tells his girlfriend that although he is far away, he wants her beside him and cannot live without her.
Ojitos negros encantadores, que los tuviera al lado de mí. Me pesa mucho bien de mi vida vivir al lento lejos de ti. Dile a tus padres y a tus hermanos que es un capricho el que voy a hacer. Ojitos negros encantadores, que si Dios quiere los vuelvo a ver. Me encuentro lejos, vivo pensando, será la ausencia de esa mujer. Ojitos negros encantadores, que si Dios quiere los vuelvo a ver. Ojitos negros encantadores, que los tuviera al lado de mí. Me pesa mucho bien de mi vida vivir ausente lejos de ti. Dile a tus padres y a tus hermanos que es un capricho el que voy a hacer. Ojitos negros y encantadores, que si Dios quiere los vuelvo a ver. That's another song, that I recall that my father used to, sing a lot and stuff.
In the Torrington-Scotts-Bluff area, Russian-German dance music is known as Dutch Hop. Bob Schmier and his Polka Playboys perform throughout the North Platte Valley at weekend dances and two-day weddings. The band members include Bob Schmier on accordion, Albert Fallbush on hammered dulcimer, Kevin Schmidt on trombone, and Laverne Billingsley on bass. One of their most popular tunes is Grandmother's Polka. It's followed by a hammered dulcimer version of Beat Topper's Polka featuring Albert Fallbush. throughout Wyoming, work in the coal mines attracted many Eastern Europeans. Each year on Labor Day, Serbians gather in southern Fremont County to celebrate the old traditions. Mike Vinich's father was lured to America, to Wyoming, and eventually to Hudson by the promise of prosperity.
He came to New York when they were building subways in the early, I think it was 1899 when he came over the first time. And he was studying to be a priest in Yugoslavia. And some friend of his says, let's go to America, John. He says, they're picking dollars from trees. He says, it's a great land of opportunity. So Dad didn't even say goodbye to his mother. They got a merchant marine ship and they both left. And he never went back to Yugoslavia to see his mother. And he always regretted that. But his hands were so soft when they were working on the subway. They were rolling boulders and whatnot. So he thought, I want to get away from here. The massive people, he just didn't like it at all because he was from the rural area. And the only means of transportation them days was a boxcar. You know, the fellows got on a boxcar. And he got in between Laramie and Cheyenne, Wyoming. And he said he saw more beef cattle than people. And he said, I want to live here. I might get a beefsteak someday. And he ended up in the coal mines of Wyoming.
Mike Vinich, together with his brother Lyle and daughters Babe and Michelle, sang two popular Serbian songs, Oj Marička Pegla and Vesla Tesa.
Oj Marička pegla, 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 pegla. Oj Marička pegla, 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 pegla. Oj Marička pegla, 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 pegla. Oj Marička pegla, svaki dan I noć. Oj Marička dansa, 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 dansa. Oj Marička dansa, 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 dansa. Oj Marička dansa, 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 dansa. Oj Marička dansa, svaki dan I noć. Oj Marička šiva, 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 šiva. Oj Marička šiva, 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 šiva. Oj Marička šiva, 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 šiva. Oj Marička šiva, svaki dan I noć. Oj Marička joka, 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 joka. Oj Marička joka, 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 joka. Oj Marička joka, 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 joka. Oj Marička joka, svaki dan I noć. Oj Marička pijana, pijana, pijana. Oj Marička pijana, pijana, pijana. Oj Marička pijana, pijana, pijana. Oj Marička pijana, svaki dan I noć. Oj Marička pegla, 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 pegla. Oj Marička pegla, 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 pegla. Oj Marička pegla, 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 pegla. Oj Marička pegla, svaki dan I noć. Veselce se mlađani, pokraj čaše vina, taj život ne traje, 1000 godina, pimo ga, sve do dana beloga, pimo ga, sve do dana beloga. Veselite se mlađani, pokraj čaše vina, taj život ne traje, 1000 godina, pimo ga, sve do dana beloga, pimo ga, sve do dana beloga.
button accordion was featured in most European dance music. Frank Parenta plays Vienna Forever, as it was played for the opening dance at the Slavinsky Dome in Rock Springs. Wyoming's Basques are centered around Rock Springs in Sweetwater County and around Buffalo in Johnson County. During a rehearsal for the annual August 15th celebration, the Basque Choir of Buffalo sings their processional, God Made Me Basque. The children's dance group of the Bighorn Basque Club perform a traditional Basque dance to the accompaniment of accordionist Gene Fletcher.
Egi, pika ta ebats. Pika. Ebats. Pika. Ebats. Pika. Ebats. Pika biatang. Ebats. Pika biatang. Ebats. Pika biatang. Ebats. Pika biatang. Ebats. There's got that song. Yo! There he's go. Dobla. There he's go. Yo! There he's go. Dobla. There he's go. Pika Devas. Pika. Evas. Pika. Evas. Pika. Evas. Pika Biatan. Evas. Pika Biatan. Evas. Pika Biatan. Evas. Pika Biatan. Evas. Everybody's got loud on. Yo! Everybody's got. Nova. Everybody's got. blah. Everybody's got the PD.
The traditions of cowboy songs and poetry are very much alive in Wyoming. Hugh Mahler of the River Grove Ranch outside Burlington sings an old poem, nowadays turned into a song, Tying Knots in the Devil's Tail.
The cowboys always like this song, and it goes like this. Away up high in the Sari Peaks, where the yellowjack pines grow tall, Buster Jiggs and Sandy Bob had a roundup way last fall. However, old cow with long full ears didn't brush up by day, got her lop ears chiseled and her old hide sizzled in a most artistic way. Said Buster Jiggs to Sandy Bob as he throwed his long legs down, I'm tired of scorching hide and hair, come on, let's jog to town. They saddled their ponies and hit out a lope, for 'tweren't no sight of a ride. And them was the days when a good cowpoke could oil up his insides. Well, they landed down in the cowboy barn, drinking on a whiskey roll. They wound up tight sometime that night, some 40 drinks below. Well, the bartender set 'em up one on the house, and they started the other way. And honest to God, to tell the truth, those boys got drunk that day. Well, they started out for the Sari Peaks, packing an awful load. And who should they meet but the devil himself, just a-prancing down the road. God dang you ornery cowboy skunks, you better hunt you a hole, 'cause I'm the devil from Hell's Rim Rocks, out of gathering up cowboy souls. Well, the devil be damned, said Buster Jiggs, we boys are a little tight, but before you crell any cowboy souls, you're gonna have a hell of a fight. He took down his rope and he built a loop, and he throwed her straight and true. He roped the devil by his painted horns, and he took his dallies too. Now Sandy Bob was a lariat man, with his gut line coiled up neat. He took down his rope and he built a loop, and he roped the devil's hind feet. Well, they stretched him out and they built a fire, while the irons grew sizzling hot. They sawed off his horns with a dehorn saw, and they branded him up a lot. They tied 10 knots in the old boy's tail and left him there for a joke. With a beller and a cough, they loped right off, necked up to a big black oak. If you're ever up in the Sari Peaks and you hear an awful wail, you know darn well it's the devil himself crying about the knots in his tail. I think probably most of it came from cowboys coming through the country that had been someplace else. I know that these outside guys brought a lot of stuff in. They always said you show them a guy that rode in there with a neat bedroll and you never wanted to hire him because he'd been used to rolling it too often. You take somebody with a real old sloppy bedroll and you better hire him because you knew he'd only rolled her once in about the last 20 years. That's kind of the way it was with those boys in the music. Some of these old boys never got around enough to learn anything, but one of these guys, the neat bedroll, would come in and he'd have a lot of songs because he'd been around a little more.
Well, the other thing that seems to be a real characteristic of life out west is humor. And there are tunes like Sari Peaks that have sort of a humorous character to them.
I think of a poem that is to tell you kind of about the cowboys' humor. It was kind of, some of them old boys said he had a sense of humor was kind of warped. When you hear a feller bragging that he never has been throwed, there ain't been many horses that feller ever rode. 'Cause if he ever was a cowboy, it's plumb safe to bet your stack that he's sometimes been a victim when a pony slipped his pack. He's been throwed right at the wagon when the whole crew laughed and smiled, and he's been dumped out in some canyon, and he's walked for several miles. He's been careless with his saddle cinch and let it get too slack, and when he felt his saddle slipping, when the pony slipped his pack. There was times when it was funny and it didn't even hurt. He just sort of let it rolling when he landed in the dirt. And then again, there's times he thought he felt his spinal column crack because he'd landed hard and solid when the pony slipped his pack. Now, man develops something with the passing of the years, and you could maybe call it caution, and it might be just plain fear. But he thinks back how he suffered in a bunkhouse or a shack of getting over things that's happened when a pony slipped his pack. I thought of that. The whole crew laughed and smiled. I don't think I ever got bucked off in my life when somebody was watching that he didn't laugh. And I don't think I ever saw anybody get bucked off out in the hills that I didn't laugh. Unless it was one of my good colts. And then I wanted to cry because I thought I knew I was going to have to ride him again someday myself.
The one dance form that all European-derived cultures in Wyoming had in common was the polka. Dick Como and the Polka Knights from Sweetwater County play a tune that is unofficially known as the Rock Springs National Anthem, the Silk Umbrella.
Whoopie-tie-yi-yo, get along, you little doggies. It's your misfortune and none of my own. Whoopie-tie-yi-yo, get along, you little doggies. You know that Wyoming will be your new home.
You've been listening to selections from the series You Know That Wyoming Will Be Your New Home, presented by the Folk Arts Program of the Wyoming Council on the Arts. Material for the series was recorded in 1984 by Deborah Jane Lamberton. Dennis Coelho is project folklorist with the Wyoming Arts Council, and I'm your host, Larry Peterson. Production of this program was made possible in part by a grant from the Folk Arts Program of the National Endowment for the Arts.